Oil workers on an oil rig. Source: Nairametrics. Nigeria's crude oil production slipped in December, underperforming several Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries (OPEC) peers at a time when falling oil prices are compounding pressure on oil-dependent economies. According to OPEC's January 2026 monthly oil market report, Nigeria produced 1.422 million barrels per day (BPD) in December, down from 1.436 million barrels of oil per day in November, a month-on-month decline of 14,000 barrels of oil per day based on direct communication with member countries. While modest in absolute terms, the decline is analytically significant as it interrupts a fragile recovery and less than about 400,000 barrels of oil per day going by the benchmark in the 2026 budget. While Nigeria struggled to meet the 2.06 million barrels of oil per day in 2025, the production showed slight improvement in the year before, ending 2025 at 1.4 million barrels of oil per day, or less than over 600,000 barrels of oil per day against the 2025 budget assumptions. By contrast, several OPEC members recorded increases over the same period, including Saudi Arabia with an additional 34,000 barrels of oil per day, Iraq 72,000 barrels of oil per day, Kuwait 11,000 barrels of oil per day, and the UAE 10,000 barrels of oil per day, showing Nigeria's relative underperformance within the group. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission (NUPRC) has issued strict technical, financial and compliance requirements for bidders in Nigeria's 2025 oil and gas licensing round, warning that only realistic proposals, adequately funded and executable, will be considered for awards. The Commission emphasized that bid evaluation would be based strictly on technical capability, financial strength and the ability to execute proposed work programs, stressing that commitments made during the bidding process would be binding and form the basis for post-award regulatory oversight. The Commission has also promised to deliver faster, predictable regulatory approvals, higher and more secure production, credible licensing, and world-class safety and governance standards as part of its 2025 oil and gas licensing pre-bid conference, signaling a major shift toward efficiency, accountability, and measurable outcomes in Nigeria's upstream sector. The bid terms were unveiled as the Minister of Petroleum Resources, Oil, Heineken Lokpabiri, declared that Nigeria would no longer tolerate speculative acquisition of petroleum licenses, stressing that oil and gas assets must not be treated as status symbols. Lokpabiri said petroleum licenses remained the property of the federal government and were issued strictly for development within defined timelines, noting that licenses held without execution added no value to either investors or the Nigerian economy. He said investors would only be taken seriously based on clear parameters, including technical competence, financial capacity and the ability to deliver on commitments made during the licensing process, warning that the era of holding assets for speculation is gone forever in Nigeria. The minister also made it clear that the government would not entertain requests for refunds, asset exchanges or discretionary remedies after bids had been concluded, stressing that such practices were not provided for under Nigerian law.